So our next guest wants to help people identify those bad apples. He's the author of The Madoffs Among Us, Combat the Scammers, Con Artists, and Thieves Who Are Plotting to Steal Your Money. William Villafranca, welcome.
I'm so pleased to be here, Laura. Hi, David.
Hi, so tell us about your book.
Oh, this has been exciting. I spent 30 years in the financial services business, and for the most part, people engaged in that industry are so good. They're doing such a wonderful job for so many people. But there are the few that cause the problems. Bernie Madoff, $65 billion. But what I'm focused on are the Madoffs among us, the people who are living next door. Maybe it's our current financial advisor, a prospective financial advisor, or maybe it's some scam artist who's out there and wants one thing. They want your money. So let's expose them. Let's utilize some tools whereby we can help each other and ward off these bad guys and make certain that we have money at the end of the day. I think I heard you say you were describing your folks or grandparents who came from Italy?
Exactly.
Great. And they were subject of scams?
I think I remember hearing about it growing up. There was nothing so devastating, but they were definitely targeted at times.
Yeah.
So Bernie Madoff, though, was several years ago.
Yeah.
What scams could people fall victim to today?
There are so many, but the major ones include romance. They include the by now famous grandparents scam. They include charities. We're giving. We enjoy giving and helping people who are less fortunate. But unfortunately, there are so many charities who just aren't what they propose to be.
Yeah, you see this a lot with the charities. How do you make sure a charity is legitimate when you're giving?
Wonderful question. There are some websites that you can visit. You can visit charitynavigator.com, give.org. You can actually access your local United Way, and because they have done a terrific vetting process on who's really qualified and deserving to receive your hard-earned dollars. I was driving yesterday. I received a phone call, and I typically do not pick up calls that I don't recognize. That's a big key for avoiding scams. I said, well, I'm going to pick this one up. And it was a young man on the phone, and he says, I'm here supporting juvenile diabetes and how we can push it back and so on. I know nothing about that. Yes, I'm sensitive to their cause, of course, but I politely declined. If you go home and just check out what the name of that is, you'd be surprised at the percentage that does not get to the beneficiaries of that charity.
Yeah.
So why do smart people fall for these scams?
Oh, I love that question. Simon Lovell, who had the reputation of being the scam artist of the 20th century. This guy would walk into a bar, he would call people, he would scam people out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. He was caught, put in jail, came out of jail, started writing, started speaking. He is quoted as saying, I love it when people tell me they can't be conned, because in my mind, they're halfway to being conned.
Wow.
So the smart people, David, they say, who's going to con me? I'm smarter than they are. Not so fast. It's the smart people who fall prey.
So how do we know when to be skeptical about financial advice? Give us some tips.
There are three advisors that I would advise folks to be wary of. The first one is the novice, the person who's only been licensed in the industry for maybe several months, maybe a couple of years. My first year in the business, I was dangerous. I wouldn't have taken my advice.
So it's not always malicious.
It's not always malicious.
Okay.
That's exactly right. We'll chalk that one up to inexperience.
Yeah.
But you can lose an awful lot of money.
Yeah.
I remember a woman came into my office. I think I was there a week. And I worked for a marvelous firm, one of the best on Wall Street, just terrific, wonderful people. The woman sat down in front of me and she said, I have $50,000. I'm not sure what I want to do with it. I'm looking long term, and I'm doing my very best, asking the appropriate questions as I saw fit. And she told me she wanted long-term growth. And I said, well, here's a wonderful total return mutual fund I think you should be invested in. Within 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes, she said, Bill, I have complete confidence in you. Whatever you think is right, you go ahead and do.
How?
Wow, yeah. That's crazy. So unless that novice is working with a more experienced team, I would be a little suspicious. The second one is the real salesy person, the person that invites you to a dinner, and he or she has one product that's going to solve all of your problems.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough. Beware, red flag, do not bring your checkbook. We don't want to give that person money until we do our own due diligence. And the third one is the one who's very opinionated. Someone who believes the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, they're going to hell in a handbasket, convert everything to gold, cash.
I know someone like that.
I want to talk to that person. I want to talk to that person. Or conversely, they're bullish. Oh, geez, sure, the market's at 25,000 today, but
It's going to be 30,000.
It's going to be 30, and watch out for those people. Those are kind of the red flags. But more importantly, David, Laura, interview and make certain you know who you are working with. They are trained, hopefully correctly trained, to ask us questions. I'm hoping to train people to ask them questions. Questions like, tell me about your experience in financial services.
Are you a fiduciary?
Are you a fiduciary? Most assuredly. That is new language that has come just about over the past several months. Used to be with best interest, and that's still a very important sign. Are these investments in my best interest? But tell me about yourself. How long have you been in this business?
I've been in this business since 2013 now.
You're pretty experienced. You're not bad. You're doing well. I trust you. I trust you.
Don't we all?
But beyond that, is this the only firm you've been with? Have you been with other firms in the past? If so, for what period of time? You can also go to a website called broker.com, broker.com.
Okay.
Plug in that advisor's name, perhaps the city, and the website it's run by FINRA, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. It will tell you if there are any disclosures that have been placed against that particular advisor.
Okay.
Disclosures are red flags. If there's one, maybe two, you speak to the advisor about it. I have a friend, I went online and checked out his FINRA report. There were 7 disclosures.
Oh no, is that a lot?
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Anything over 2, I'm starting to get suspicious.
How about if you get a recommendation from a friend?
Oh, great question. Referrals, that's how this business works.
Yeah.
But who are they referring you to? My premise is do your own homework, do your own due diligence. Yeah, your brother-in-law might say, hey, Bill Francavilla, a wonderful advisor, I've been with him for forever. It's a good start. It's a good start. But then employ those questions and make certain that you are asking the questions. Do you have any industry certifications? Are you a CFP, a CHFC? Tell me a little bit about how you charge. Am I going to be working with you, or am I going to be
what are your
working-
fees is a big one.
That's a huge one. That's a huge one. It's typically the first question. I think it's probably the last question, because I would rather work with an advisor who charges me a little more, but I trust that person, as opposed to someone who's going to discount my fees and I don't trust.
That what is cheap is ultimately expensive.
I've heard that before. I've heard that
Saying in
before.
Spanish.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. We
Well,
really
thank you for the
appreciate
invitation.
Thank you
Let's
for
get the
being
message out.
Yeah, it's so
Let's
important.
protect our funds.
People have to know.
Protect your grandparents, your older parents. They are the most vulnerable.
Yeah.
Cognitive issues, living alone, check in on them. Make sure they're making the right decisions, because that's the target.
Awesome. Well, thanks.
Thanks so much.
Well, thank you for the
being here.
invitation again. You do the same.